All right, in this one we are in PyCharm. We are going to upload our Django project to GitHub. We're going to do it on a Windows machine. I'm actually on Windows 7. And we're also going to do it not by going to GitHub and creating the new repository that way. We are going to use the command line interface. This aligns pretty closely with this question here. Is it possible to create a remote repo on GitHub from the command line without opening a browser like so? So we're gonna do this right. These guys here, they do have a lot of thumbs up and whatever. However, there's some gotchas when you're on Windows, which is not helpful at all, and it's not even mentioned in this question. So let's go through that. First, you want to go into PyCharm, have your terminal open, type in cURL. If you see cURL is not recognized as an internal or external command, operable program, or batch file, then that means you need to get that program. How do you do that if you're on Windows? Type in cURL Windows. See this cURL for Windows? Click that. Download cURL for 64-bit in my case. I'm going to open this now, extract it. And this is actually the first time I'm using this, but I think it's pretty straightforward. This is the path to the bin that holds curl.exe. You need to know that because we need to copy this path. And if you wanted to do this more permanently, you would move this to somewhere that's more permanent, not your downloads folder like I'm doing. Now I'm going to just click the Windows Start orb thing, and then right click your computer here, and then hit Properties. Then go to Advanced System Settings. Here, go into Environment Variables, under System Variables, find Path, click it, click Edit. At the end of this path, click End on your keyboard, add a semicolon, and literally paste that path that we just copied. Hit OK, and then hit OK. So what we're doing here is we're adding basically this place to our Windows path. So it's on our system's path. And it'll be able to find this curl if we use that command. So we can just close this now. And in fact, we're going to probably restart PyCharm. So curl says it's still not recognizable. If we were to restart this, I'm not really sure how to do that in there. So I'm just going to restart it completely. It should work. So this is, you could also do this in Windows, command prompt. If we type in curl, we get this different command now. That's great. And why are we doing all of this? We're doing all of this because curl, or cURL, or whatever it's formally called, is the way that you create a GitHub repo using the GitHub API. So let's give it a try. Curl. Okay, we can see that it's there now. That's great. So notice in my repositories, I have 12 repositories currently. Now what I want to do in PyCharm, I also want to point out I don't even have git initialize. So let's start there. You'll want to type in git init, I-N-I-T, okay? Initializing empty git repository. Now if we look at this folder, we see .git. That's what we want to see. If we type in git status, you notice that I do already have a git ignore file. These are the ones that are not committed. And to do that, I could do git add -- all. But I'm not going to do that just yet. What I want to be more concerned with is how to create the repository to begin with without coming here in the browser and clicking new. So that's why we installed curl or cURL. And now if we're going to try to actually follow this. Let's try to do this. So the first question you'll run into is, okay, it says user. Well, what the hell does that mean, right? Well, user for what? It says user. Okay, so he does give like, something here, but I've had to trial and error this, so I already know what the answer is through a bunch of trial and error. The first thing to know is this is where your username is. Let's sign out of GitHub real quick. Just want to show you that when you sign into GitHub, it asks you if you want to sign in with your username or with your email. So when we go to sign in here, you can use a username or an email. Notice that either one of these would work. I'll just use my username. Sign in. Now we're in here, okay? So I just needed to point that out because when you go and read this answer, user is your GitHub user name, okay? This is, if you look at the GitHub API documentation, you're going to run into the create method it's not a method. I'm not really sure what they call it, honestly. It is probably in one of these, if I could find it real quick, repositories, and then this create here. So see how it's /users/repos? That's exactly where they're kind of getting this information. Users /repos, user/repos. So this is a post method, and let's just go ahead and do this instead of me yapping. So there's a great answer on this. It says, kind of goes through what these different things mean, but I'll just run through them. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually just try this. Actually, we'll just try this right here. I have it copied to my clipboard. Go into PyCharm. I'm going to paste it. Okay, so it's the exact same format. Now, it's cURL, and then we space it, and then -u, that's for the user. And remember, we just talked about your GitHub user. You want to put your user name, so mine is Jared C. And then this is the endpoint, user/repos. And then this -d, I think that means data. And then it wants you to put in a minimum name. So that is a required, that's like the absolute minimum. And then you put in the name of your repository here. Now let's go ahead and actually try this. What's going to happen is it's going to ask me for a password. I'll type it in. Okay, I'll hit enter. Now it says bad credentials. So you're like, what the hell? And then you sit there and you type it in over and over again. So let me just cut to the chase. If you are on Windows, this will not work for you. The reason is the command line does not, from my research, does not know how to handle or manage single quotes. So you notice how this is a single quote, this is a single quote. Then it goes into this. This is actually JSON. So the command line, even here in PyCharm, doesn't know how to handle it. So the solution is, let me just copy this now. I'll do the exact same thing. Notice it's cURL-u for user, same thing. User/repos, same endpoint, -d. Now I'm double quoting everything and I'm escaping the double quotes that are in the JSON. Okay? So just the simple answer is don't use single quotes if you're on Windows and if you are, using the command line. Simple as that. So same thing. Let's just hit enter. Let's do the same thing. Enter your password. And what you're going to see is something totally different, right? All this stuff. Okay, great. So let's go back to the web interface. Click your drop down, go to your repositories, and here we see 13, and we just successfully created the repository from the command line interface instead of just going to the interface in the browser and doing it. So that's step one. Now, here in PyCharm, we're not done. We have to get this Django project into GitHub. How do we do that? So I'll just say git status. Okay, we'll say git add -- all, and then say git status. These are everything that's going to be, committed. So I say git commit -m for message, and we give it a message. We'll say first commit. Okay, and then enter. All right, and then we say git log. That'll let you see that, and then you can say, this is where I recommend you go here. So we've done this git commit -m, first commit, and then this is where I would just recommend copying it, because this is really git remote add origin, and that's kind of the endpoint there. So let's copy that. We will paste it here. There we go. And then it says what we want to do is push an existing repository from the command line. So then we could just say git push u origin master. Okay, so we copied that. We paste it here. We hit enter. And it says error, cannot spawn, no such file or directory. Username. Okay, let's enter our username. Enter our password. And then it's going to work. It's resolving deltas. Now let's go ahead and refresh in here, see if everything worked. And lo and behold, our README file is here. We have successfully pushed everything from PyCharm into GitHub. And then we did it via the command line by creating the repository first. And hopefully this video is helpful. If you like this video, definitely subscribe. If you want more like really technical crap like this, definitely subscribe and let me know so I know what to make videos about. Thanks a lot.